Okay, we're going to continue exploring standard deviation now. And again, this is one of our ways of exploring mathematics. So each of the continuous random variables below, and we're talking about the variables down here, and these variables here, have a normal probability distribution with mean and standard deviation. So we've got different means we're looking at, different standard deviations. So this is the standard deviation, not the variance. And we're going to find, first of all, we're going to calculate these values and then use those values to find the probabilities. And we've got your calculator will find probabilities, but this one's even easier to use, so we're going to use this one. So start first by filling in this table. So we've got mean minus standard deviation. So this one is 0 minus 1, which is negative 1. 0 plus 1, that's 1. 0 minus 2 times 1, negative 2. 0 plus 2 times 1 is 2. So keep going, pause your video, fill all of those in so that you have all the values. Okay, so your table should match mine. So now let's do these calculations. So I'm going to open this up. Oh, except that that's not clickable. All right, well, I am going to open that up. Stat book, and we want normal distribution calculator. Okay. So here's our calculator. So what we're looking for is this is going to calculate our probabilities for us, and probability is the area that's under the curve. So in our first one, we had a mean of 0. So we have a mean of 0 and a standard deviation of 1, and we want the probability that's between the mean minus standard deviation and mean plus standard deviation. So those values were negative 1, 1. So 0, 1 between negative 1 and 1. So I'm going to hit recalculate. Oops, click on between. All right, so here is my area, it's my probability, 0.6827. So 0.6827. And now I'm going to go between these two values, so negative 2 and 2. So I'm adding and subtracting a standard deviation, so negative 2 and 2. And you can see that it's recalculated for me. I'm finding this area, 95.45. Sorry, 0.9545, or if in percent, we would say 95.45%. And now between three standard deviations, negative 3 to positive 3, we can see it's really close to 100%. But remember, this graph is going on forever, so there's always going to be a little bit left. But now we've got 99.73%, or 0.9973. Let's try it again. Now our mean and standard deviation are 2 and 4, and the first time we're going between negative 2 and 6. So now our mean is 2, our standard deviation is 4. We're going between negative 2 and 6. So we're going the same distance. We're going 1 standard deviation away from the mean. That's what we're doing here. So 1 standard deviation away from the mean. Notice that my values are symmetric. So I've got 68.27 again. If I looked at just 1/2 of that, so if we went from negative 2 to our mean, which is 2, so just 1/2 of that, 34.13, well, 34.13 is about half of that. We've got a little bit of rounding error, but that's because of all our decimals. So now let's try this one, negative 6 to 10. So now I'm going 2 standard deviations away from the mean. So negative 6 to 10. All right, and we can see we've got the exact same as we did before. So 2 standard deviations away from the mean, 95.45. 3 standard deviations away from the mean. So now I'm going from negative 10 to positive 14. So negative 10 to positive 14. Again, really close to 100%, but not quite. So hopefully you're seeing a pattern here. And you should go ahead and calculate the rest if you don't trust me, but they're all going to be the same. So what this is really saying is that within 1 standard deviation of the mean is where 68% of the values lie. So within 1 standard deviation of the mean, we have 68% of values. So that's what I was saying back in the beginning. When we talk about the normal distribution, most of the values are around the mean. So 68% are within 1 standard deviation of the mean. Remember, standard deviation was one of our measures of distance. So it's our measure of distance from the mean. So 68% of the values are within 1 standard deviation. Within 2 standard deviations of the mean, we have 95.45%. So almost every single value is within 2 standard deviations of the mean. So really, when you're getting way out here to the outliers, that's really like less than 1% of people. So before, when I was talking about my nephew being in the 80th percentile, he's still within 2 standard deviations of the mean. So we don't need to worry about him having a super huge head because it's still not that far from the mean. And within 3 standard deviations of the mean, we have 99.7%. So almost, if we rounded that, we would say 100% of the values are within 3 standard deviations. So this is, if we put these together, notice within 1 standard deviation of the mean, 68.26. Again, because of rounding, ours up top said 68.27. So now we're adding a little bit more. So 95.44, 99.74. So your book's values and that calculator's values are off just by 1/100% due to rounding.